Hello there. Welcome to the big stream, the big Thursday stream. I look okay? Got to look at myself in the mirror. Everything all right? I look okay. Hi, I'm Warren. Welcome. This is my YouTube channel. Belongs to no one else. It's only mine. I don't share it with anyone. No one. It's only mine. Only but mine. That's why it's called the MrWarrenHayes Show. See, that's the thing is that if I ever bring on a partner, I have to rebrand everything. It was very smart on my end. I have created a situation for myself where I will always be doing this by myself. That there will be no, extra partners or whatnot. Otherwise, it's a total rebrand and it's just a pain in the ass. So, who's the smart guy now? Who had it all figured out from the get-go? That's me, of course. Hope you're having a lovely week. I had a busy week. My weeks are going to continue to be busy. And that's fine. That's good. I'm not complaining. I prefer to be busy than the opposite, because if I'm I legitimately, I always have to be doing something, Very rarely do I just do very passive things. Very rarely, of course, I'll listen to movies and TV shows, which I think is considered like a passive activity, right? Chat, wouldn't you consider that watching television is passive? Watching a film at the movie theater, or do you consider going to the movies doing something? I always have to be doing some kind of shit. And if I'm not busy, then I get worried. Then I'm like, oh, things are going sideways. This is not good. There's always something to do. There's always something to do. So basically, busy week this week. I was happy about that. Gonna have very likely another busy week next week, to the point that I kind of think that the Dynamite review next week will either be late or it'll be right on time. And it'll be right on time if I if I record the review immediately after Dynamite next week, which I'm never really, I'm really not that excited. We've talked about this. I don't like doing post shows, instant reactions, whatever you want to call them. I'm not I'm okay with them, but I don't like once in a while I'll do one and it'll be fine, but doing it on a regular basis, I find I don't know. I like to sleep on things. I like to reflect. I like just to, see if emotionally I'm at the same spot that I was the next day as I was going to bed, thinking about the show. And so doing immediate post shows, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I might have to do that next week, because next Thursday I've got an extremely busy day. It's Friday as well. And like I said, that's okay. I don't mind being busy. I embrace the busy. I embrace it all. That's it. That's just it. I just watched this week's episode of Smiling Friends, and of course of Haha You Clowns, which are my the two Adult Swim shows that are high on my list. And Haha You Clowns this week was quite the departure from the usual stuff. It got a little weird. Now I'm starting there's some things that I was kind of there might be something else going on here. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It was a little weird. I thought I had figured this show out, and then it's throwing me a curveball like this week, and I'm like, wait, have I figured it out? There's something weird anyway. Smiling Friends ruled, per usual. I mean, haha you clowns too. I love haha you clowns. Just I thought I had it figured it out. I thought I had figured it out, but clearly I'm not. Anyway. We're here to talk about some wrestling. We're here to talk about some wrestling. That's what we'll do here slowly. First, hello to AEW 1. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also, member of the channel. Yeah, I have a lot of gray. There's not much of my original dark brown left. I've completely mutated into this now, which isn't bad. I'm okay with it. I know some dudes have issues with the gray CM Punk, but I embrace it. I really do. I like it. I like it. I get lovely compliments regarding that. So there you go. Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you and welcome. Also a member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Hope you had a nice week as well. Sports and Things shows, nice to see you too. Carlos, hi. Welcome. Fuck your mama, nice to see you and welcome. I'm excited for the pay-per-view, but I'm more excited for this year's Continental Classic, aka the Connie. I like that. The Connie. You give it a little, you give it a little name like that. A nice little, fun little name. I enjoy that. Who do you want to see in this year's Connie? Would love to see some young blood like Kevin Knight and Ace Austin get some shine in the C2. I think Ace Austin should be put in the C2 100%. I'm wondering if Tony Khan will be ready to spread his wings a little bit and maybe have someone over from CMLL to fill out one of the ranks. That would be good. And you need some losing posts, right? You need some pin eaters in here as well. I think Ace Austin would be a good candidate for that. And why don't we do this with Tommy Billington too? Why don't we put in Tom Billington? And again, not to give him like a huge push or anything, but that's what you go. You go. That's what you do, right? You go. You bring him in, and you have him. You just have him perform. You have him have some great matches. Sure, he ends up with a losing record, but that's not the point. The point is that for the past month, Tommy Billington's been on your TV every week. And that's a big deal. Yeah, it's mostly who the undercard is going to be that I'm always interested in seeing. Well, the undercard, the guys who are going to be set up to lose, right? Because look, I know nothing's been announced. Absolutely nothing, but I still think this finishes with Okada and Takeshita, and it has to. Like, it's the perfect blow off to their rivalry. I think it'd be really, really fun. Pedrov, nice to see you and welcome. Missing that wholesome family entertainment. The haha you clowns. I don't know how wholesome it is. I don't know. There's something coming around here. There's something just a little strange that happened on this week's episode. Well, a few things weird that happened on this episode. I'm like, I don't know if it was an intentional tonal shift, but there's just some things that happened that were a little weird. And I was like, this is kind of strange. I feel like I'm starting to step into a David Lynch fever dream, which I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. Like, if they can subvert my expectations, I would be all for it. DJ Convoy, nice to see you. You see, that's your theme song now. DJ Convoy. Nice to see you. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel on top of that. Welcome to the old area. No idea about those shows. I'm waiting to watch the final season of Stranger Things. Yeah. Yes. You know what I'm really excited for in regards to Stranger Things? Because I've watched every season, so I'm gonna wrap it up with them on this season here. But like ultimately what I'm excited to see is whether or not I'm gonna finish the season wondering, did we need 5 seasons of Stranger Things? Because that's kind of how I felt with season 4 after a while, and I was like, I don't know if we needed this. So I don't know. I'm not super convinced. They might just pull it off. They might pull it off. And I'd be like, yes, this is necessary television. What a great way to wrap up the series and whatnot. But, it's 3 seasons of Stranger Things and you've got yourself a perfect show. You really do. That's like, here's the thing. It's like I'm not excited to watch it, if that makes sense. I'm not looking forward to watching it, but I am going to watch it. I feel locked in, but I'm not like, going, yeah, let's go. Whereas these days, every week, I'm looking forward to watching the new episode of The Chair Company. You know what I mean? Like then that I'm like, all right, let's go. All right. Got something to sink my teeth into here, We'll see how it goes. We'll give them the chance to wow us is the point, right? Oh, the Connie name comes from Tunnel Talk. Well, there you go. That's a good name. I will not steal it from them then. Respect. I think the 5 season would have been better when it was supposed to end in 2020 for sure. I mean, here's the other thing is like they're old now. The kids are all old. Like they're not, that was a big part of the charm too, right? That they were all teenagers. Preteen. No, they weren't preteens. They were young teenagers when this all started. Now it's like they're old. Who cares now? They're old. Now they're also old. Yes, it's ageism. I don't give a shit. Yes, I thought at some point after the bit with Sadie Sink's character, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. After the bit with that where they save her, and they do the running up that hill bit, all of that. I felt like after that, it was like, all right, now we're like that was really the high of the season. And it came like halfway through the season. And the rest I was like, I don't. And you could see like I'm not spoiling anything if anyone hasn't seen it and still wants to chime in, like say, get into it before season 5. But the whole intrigue you could see coming, what was supposed to be the big surprise twist. At some point you're like, oh, okay, we get it. I see where we're going with this. It's like, However, I will always love this show for bringing back Matthew Modine. That though. Hey, Boris, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Initially, I was still on board with Stranger Things, but then I'm like, the bad guy's called Vecna when he has a real name, so it sounds kind of dorky. I mean, everyone calls him Vecna. Like, okay, so the former Dungeons and Dragons player in me gets a kick out of these, these references. I legitimately do. I'm like, haha, Vecna, haha, Demogorgon, and all that stuff. I get a kick out of them, but then I'm like, yeah, but also that's, you know, it's weird. You know, it's like, it's whatever. Sadie Sink is going to be in the new Spider-Man movies. Really? Is she? Who is she? Who is she? Who is she doing? Do we know what she's portraying? Do we know what she's who she's playing? I like Sadie Sink a lot. I think she's very talented. I think she's very good. Who's is she gonna do the Black Cat? Who's the other, like Peter Parker's other love interest, right? There's Mary Jane Watson, of course, but then there's the Black Cat. You think she might be the Black Cat? She I mean, you know, she doesn't quite, you know, it'd be a different take on the typical Black Cat, but you know, the MCU does whatever they want ultimately. Gwen Stacy's a good call though. Gwen Stacy's a very good call. Gwen Stacy's a really good call. That's probably going to be it. It's probably going to, because she doesn't have Black Cat energy. But Spider-Gwen, she kind of does. I think that works. I think people will get upset because she's not blonde. Anyway, who cares? Like, we're not, this is not an MCU podcast. Yeah. Swerve, she plays MJ. Like MJ after the like for a multiverse MJ. Did you find it odd how mean Tristan and Preston were to poor Jeff in that episode? I was watching. My God, I'm glad you brought that up. That's the whole thing. It's like, you know, I was watching it with my son and we were both like, why are they so mean to this guy? Like they're, you know, what's going on? Music. What's wrong? What's wrong with the music? The music skipping as if I'm listening to this on my portable Discman. So we were watching and was like, why are they so mean to this guy? What has he done? Like, you know, what's the issue? He's he's super sweet. And then especially like at the end in the last scene, right? When he goes to check on Duncan, Jeff does, and he's being super sweet with them. And he's like, you know, I've done 2 tours of Afghanistan. I've seen my buddies blown up and nothing prepared me for how to hold a baby, you know, kind of thing. And he's being super sweet to Duncan. And then these 2 assholes walk in and like, you know, I'm like, why are they so overtly mean to him? But you see, like, here's the thing that you've noticed, right? And over the course of these episodes that they're a little weird with their girlfriends too, right? They're a little weird with their girlfriends. You know, particularly Preston. I find he's a little weird. You know, like when they were in the pool and they were talking about the party and the girls were like, oh, we love babies, we can't wait. And he says, well, it's our dental hygienist. You don't know her, you can't come over. Like, what? Why are you doing this? And they've been like a little weird with their girls in a previous episode too, sort of telling them that they weren't welcome at a thing, something they were doing for their father, right? Sorry girls, we're gonna do this for our father, you know. And the whole thing with the final, the final scene when all the brothers are together around Duncan and they're talking to Duncan, the 2 older ones are talking about him at the hospital like they gave birth to him. It's like, it's all so fucking weird. It's all so weird. And then the picture that they emulate at the end is with the dad holding Duncan newborn and then the 2 boys, but the mother's nowhere to be found. And the father's in the hospital bed. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you know what I mean? Look, I might actually start up a haha you clowns podcast because there's something happening here, and I can't put my finger on it. Just so many Lynchian things happening. You know, the 5-year-old kid who can draw like a master, and what, you know, it's like all of this. There's something weird going on. There's something weird, but we'll see. Anyway. You got to talk about pro wrestling or else we're going to lose all our viewers. So listen, if you want to hear me talk about pro wrestling, leave a like on this video. Leave a like on the stream right now. If you haven't already, I appreciate it tremendously. There's not much. Oh, no. There is a little housekeeping to do because this weekend is AEW Full Gear presented by DC. And I will be reviewing that show this weekend, of course, and per usual, the review will be available in early access to members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube before anyone else. The rest of you freeloaders will get it next week at some point, but probably as soon as this Sunday, most likely, members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel will get my full in-depth analysis of AEW Full Gear. And I'm very excited. I reviewing shows is probably the thing I like to do the most. I think that's what I enjoy the most. And I'm very excited to do it for this card. We're going to preview it in a second, but I just wanted to let you know that that's happening. That's happening. I am reviewing this weekend. Will be available in early access to members. So you know what to do if you want to get in on that action. You know what you have to do. You got to join. You got to become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. A pure channel run by a real YouTuber with real people who watch it. No view bots here. There's none of that bullshit happening around here. So you're more than welcome to come in and join and show a little support, and I would appreciate it tremendously. So then Monday live stream and the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which will return next week. I will be fine for a Mr. Warren Hayes Show next week. At least I hope so. This week it just was not going to happen. I just had a tremendously busy week, and I feel I really didn't have enough material. Look, it just happens. It just happens, and I apologize. We'll get back on the saddle really, really soon. But right now, holy smokes, we got to start talking about professional wrestling, folks. That's what we got to do here. And if we're starting to talk about professional wrestling, well, then we need to get into the mood. We need a professional wrestler to come set the tone.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere.
Yes.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master, and I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! Fantastic. Whoops, there we go. All right. Oh, we're not doing that. Excellent stuff. That's funny. The schmalugles. See, it's funny, like early preview and a minute 40. That's like a fifth of the episode right there. It's like I don't watch these previews for Adult Swim shows. Because I'm like it's fucking like, how, 1/5 of the episode. What am I doing here? Hey, William Davis, nice to see you. Welcome. Also member of the channel. Lovely to have you. Lovely to have you, Patrick. Also a member of the channel. It is great to see you both. And Miss Convoy, nice to see you. That's right. You have not hooyah'd in a long time. I'm glad we still have. I'm glad we still share that bond. The hooyah is, it connects humans on a very primal level. All right. Let's get to it. Tell your friends. We're talking about pro wrestling now. This is when they can join the stream. Everything before that was embarrassing. Now it's all going to be very, very cool and based. Before we do the preview, before we do the AEW Full Gear presented by DC preview, I just wanted to review this with you because I spoke about this on the Dynamite review. And since by the time I had done recording and uploaded it to the internet, we had a little more information that came out in regards to the finish to Shelton Benjamin and Speedball Mike Bailey last night on Dynamite. And I'm sure you watched it. If you haven't, I'll just run it through very, very quickly. Shelton Benjamin super kicks Speedball Mike Bailey right in the mush, and well, it's fine, it still worked, but it looks fantastic. It looks like he murdered Bailey. Goes down, covers, ref counts, but doesn't count the full 3, even though Mike Bailey doesn't kick out. So the ref goes 1, 2, 3, and then does the thing where he's like, oh no, you see, his shoulder was up just a little bit, and he goes, you know what I'm talking about, right? When a ref knows that they fucked up or that someone didn't kick out, then they're like, look, it's not exactly on the floor. Look, if you were to take this sheet of paper and you were to slide it under, you could see, I could slide this sheet of paper under the shoulder, which indicates that he didn't have his, thing, his shoulder down like that. So I can't count the full 3, that kind of bullshit. So, I speculated on that a little earlier today, and it looks like Brian Alvarez. Oh, well, look, we have the video here. I can show it.
Get
right?
off me!
Do you think we'll, no, I won't get strike, right? I won't get, let's go.
Nobody home in the corner for Shelton Benjamin, and Speedball rolls him up, 2.
This is a little longer clip. No, 18 seconds. We should get it here. And then, okay, and
power
here
of
it
those
comes.
legs
The super kick. See, what a great finish, honestly. So that's the issue, right? Like, honestly, what a great fucking finish. As far as finishes go, what a tremendous finish.
Speedball rolls him up, 2. Benjamin.
So check this out. He goes up. Look at that cell. Like, I absolutely buy. No, we're not watching it again. I absolutely buy, though, that Sheldon completely murdered this man with a kick to the chin. Like, I 100% believed it. So, I was more concerned with MVP burying Speedball over and over and over. That's okay. They're friends. Don't you remember? It's okay. They're all pals. They tell each other to fuck off or fuck you or whatever it is. I don't remember. Just lower the brightness here on this screen. Holy, my retinas. So, if Speedball wore shoes, he would have been super kicked out of him. Yeah, pretty much. I guess you'd say his soul left his body. Hey yo, all right. So Brian Alvarez apparently talked to someone who had an answer for him. On Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez explained what happened with the awkward Shelton Benjamin versus Speedball Mike Bailey finish from last night's AEW Dynamite. In the closing stretch of the Benjamin versus Bailey match, the closing stretch of the Benjamin versus Bailey match included a spot where Benjamin delivered a super kick and went for the pin, but the referee stopped counting despite Bailey's shoulders still being down. Then they continued on with the match, which ended with Benjamin getting the win with a German suplex, a knee strike, and another super kick, which I praised, by the way. If you listen to the Dynamite review, I gave Shelton Benjamin a lot of props because, if this had been NXT, they all would have been like in deer in the headlights mode, going, and just do the super kick again and kill him. Benjamin was like, okay, I got to sell that this guy needs a little more to be put down. So he does the German, he does the knee strike, and then another super kick to really sell the finish. So, sucks for Mike Bailey to have taken a German suplex bump and a couple of other strikes, but at least Shelton didn't try to bury him, and neither guy was like, what do we do? Because Shelton Benjamin's a fucking pro. That's why. And so's Speedball, right? Anyway. Some fans thought Bailey was injured from the initial kick. I was not. But that was not the case. It wasn't me. Because you could see it. You could see it on the pinning combination. Mike Speedball was talking. He was fine. Benjamin tried to call. Here's the thing. Benjamin tried to call an audible and end the match with the first kick because he thought it looked so cool that it should be the finish. And great call on Benjamin's part, if we're being completely transparent here. If we're not trying to bullshit each other, if this is the case, great call on Shelty. That's tremendous. The referee was not on the same page and there was a miscommunication. As it turns out, everyone is fine. Alvarez said what essentially happened is the finish was just going to be a super kick. So Shelton ends up shooting him in or whatever, and he hits this kick, and Speedball just takes this incredible full flip bump, and it looks like he's dead. Always glad to know that Warren Hayes and Brian Alvarez are simpatico. Always reassuring. So Shelton decides it ain't going to get better than that, and so Shelton calls the audible. This is the finish. Apparently the ref didn't hear him, and so the ref stops the count because that wasn't actually supposed to be the finish. So you could say it's the referee's fault. You could say it's Shelton's fault. You can't say it's Speedball's fault. He just laid there like he was supposed to. So anyway, that's what happened. It was a miscommunication. And then when the referee stopped counting, they just went on and did the actual finish. But no, he did not get concussed by the kick or anything like that. There was no injury involved. It was just Shelton thought a move looked really cool and that they should just go for the finish right there. And I don't think anyone had any disagreement. Like, that really did look cool. And then Benjamin's victory earned him one of the 2 spots in the Casino Gauntlet match at Sunday's Full Gear pay-per-view. He'll start off the gauntlet with his hurt same weekend, but maybe able to beat Lashley. Okay. So there you go. So that's the clarification on the whole situation. And I'm glad to bring it up because I was like, I was saying, look, it was either Mike Bailey or the ref who fucked up. That was my theory, just looking at it, right, without knowing all these little details here. I was like, look, it's either Mike Bailey or the ref that fucked up. And it turns out, well, it's kind of Paul. It's a little bit of Paul Turner. It's a little bit of Shelton Benjamin, because Shelton Benjamin decided to call it on the fly and couldn't quite get the what's the word I'm looking for? Couldn't quite get his point across to the referee. They need the communication part sort of fell apart there. But Shelton didn't stick to the plan either, so that puts the ref in a weird position. But I guess what this tells us, one of the things that I was, because this is also one of the things that I was wondering on the Dynamite review today. I guess what this tells us is that AEW wrestlers are not instructed to call their matches like a shoot. I think that's clear what this situation entails, right? where it's like, look, we're changing the finish. The wrestlers agree, but then, referee is like, he didn't hear it, so he just went right through. I guess that's the instruction. They got to stick to the script. They got to stick to the actual finish. Don't call it as a shoot. We learned something today, folks. We learned something today, courtesy of Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer Newsroom. So there you go. So again, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but Speedball is he's completely blameless. He's you cannot he is not at the source of anything bad. Just like any good French Canadian, he is he's completely blameless and just a bystander. Cannot be blamed. You cannot pin this on him. Just like any good French Canadian, essentially. So there you go. Just wanted to touch on that before. I have something stuck in my teeth. What that? What is this? That's weird. That's weird. I brushed my teeth before. I brushed my teeth before coming on, did the whole 9 yards. And I've eaten, I ate around 6? I had shawarma. I love shawarma. I really do. So that made me happy to be able to have shawarma. Because it's mighty tasty. Just we have to have some cut between my teeth. What is going on? Okay. Maybe all of my teeth are coming apart now. Maybe everything's coming undone. Oh, no. All right. Okay. Let me pull up a little thing here for some flavor. We got a little flavor graphic here. Isn't that nice? We got a nice flavor here. Yeah. Paul Turner was trying to fuck on Shelton. Yeah. I like that. All right. Full Gear 2025. Let's preview this. And let me give me some headroom for when I cut this out. That was a little ambitious on my part. We are now going to preview AEW Full Gear presented by DC 2025. I've been trained into saying the whole thing now. It will be happening in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center in just a couple of days. I believe we have the full card because there's no more AEW programming to be had between now and then. So I do think we have everything that we need here to do a proper breakdown and preview the big November pay-per-view for All Elite Wrestling. I've been running a little poll here in the live chat as we're chit-chatting and asking how excited people are for AEW Full Gear, and basically to rate 1 out of 4. 4 being the most excited and 1 being not excited, and or the least excited, I should say, because not excited would be 0, and that is not an option. I got 58% of people who are giving it a 3 thumbs up out of 4, because I'm using little emojis. 58% said are saying 3 out of 4, 33% 4 out of 4, and 8% 2 out of 4. Look, I mean, this is the conversation we always have, I feel, when it comes around to AEW pay-per-views. where we're going to talk about the build and how the build was so and whatnot, and wasn't all that great and whatever, right? That's kind of the thing. But then like we get to the pay-per-view and it's great, and because you can always bet on an AEW pay-per-view to be great, and then we're like, well, all of this was great and the build ultimately didn't factor into my enjoyment of the pay-per-view, right? I do feel this one has been a little, the build, I mean, right? I feel it hasn't been all that spectacular, and we'll see how it affects attendance and whatnot. But I don't feel like there's big hype around it. I don't feel like people are necessarily excited about this pay-per-view. It's kind of like, I kind of feel like the excitement is based around, well, it's an AEW pay-per-view, so it's going to rock. But I don't see anyone going, yeah, this is the match, this is the story, this is what I'm looking for. I feel like AEW now has cultivated like this innate buzz about its shows, where it's just like I said, these are great shows. Just very, very simply, these are great shows on the regular. So, there's just a natural excitement about them. But then again, it's like, but then like, there's nothing really captivating. There's nothing that is really blowing everything out of the water, where you're like, these things are excellent. Like, there's stuff that is really well built on this card. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think Paige and Samoa Joe is tremendously well built. I think that Kyle O'Reilly and Jon Moxley, even though was announced last night on Dynamite, I think that is a tremendously cleverly built little rivalry that we have here. There's a lot of stuff here that is impeccably well built. Other stuff where it's just like, it kind of feels just like thrown together, or, oh, we're doing this match again. And I think that's something that the build to this pay-per-view suffers, is that I feel like we're in a loop of matches with a lot of the big matches, that it's just always the same thing. And it's been like that for a couple of pay-per-view cycles, and kind of exposes that there's some top guys that are missing, that we kind of need the top people back, and sometime very soon. But then I don't want to give the impression that I'm low on this pay-per-view. I just think the build here was rough. I think the build to Full Gear was a little rough, and I think that one of the reasons it might have been is because of the necessary build for Blood and Guts, and I think that distracted a little bit from the build to Full Gear, I would say. But again, like, I don't know how much time I want to spend on saying on establishing the fact that the build hasn't been all that great, because I think that ultimately it's not going to matter. The only place where builds matter really is on ticket sales and pay-per-view buys. So if AEW is able to put asses in the seats and hold on to their average, pay-per-view buy rate, which is what, like 135,000. And now we don't even know those numbers anymore, because everything is on Max now. So we don't even have the luxury of the numbers that they used to do on Triller and stuff like that. That doesn't exist anymore. So we don't even know like how successful anything is anymore, which is a fucking crying shame. But anyway, it's a if the people turn out to pay for this show, whether it's live on location or in the comfort of their own home on HBO Max or Amazon Prime or on Triller or whatever the fuck, wherever you want, wherever you can purchase these pay-per-views. If they can stay within their typical averages, then it's fine, right? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But I look, frankly, I don't think anyone is going to sit here and say, hey, you know what? Best build pay-per-view of all time. Like, I don't think anyone can reasonably have that argument. Mr. Antox, nice to see you and welcome to the lovely chat that we have here tonight. Gonna get nitpicky as we go down the card, but in general, you think after 6 years they learn how to do a good build go-home show. I mean, they know how to do a good build because the build to All In was fantastic. That's undeniable. They know how to do it. It's really strange. I still think AEW has trouble promoting itself, which is weird. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's start. Which ones should we? We'll start with the main event, right? We'll start with Hangman Adam Page defending the AEW Men's World Championship against Samoa Joe in a steel cage. I am enjoying this leg of the rivalry much more than I thought I would. Because and chat, by the way, please feel free to share your thoughts. Please do go right ahead. Predict away as at the same time. Thoughts, predictions, and all that good jazz. That's what we're here for. We're having a nice, lovely time here tonight. But yeah, I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I was going to. Because when they decided that this feud must continue at Wrestle Dream, I was kind of like, does it have to? Really? Does it really have to continue? What does this need to escalate? I appreciate them turning Samoa Joe heel. I think that's a good thing. I think that's good that Samoa Joe's a heel. There's a lot of good moves in this. But the thing that made it really, 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 really good for me was how Hangman was handled throughout this entire feud. Despite the fact that Samoa Joe is this terrifying, menacing presence that could snap you in half just by breathing hard on you, right? They still managed to have to have Hangman look extremely strong in the process. Like Hangman throughout this entire build has had one up on Samoa Joe the entire way. And he hasn't been backing down. He hasn't been having doubts. He hasn't been, questioning himself. He's been like, no, I'm the world champion. I'm the top guy here. I'm running in week after week, trying to screw with Samoa Joe, mess with his pals. And I think the last time Hangman had a, really showed ass in this feud was when Powerhouse Hobbs put him through the table at their a couple of weeks ago. Often when he did it was a trios match, right? Or whatever. When he slammed him off of the stage onto a table, that's the last time Hangman really showed ass. Because the week after, Hangman gets into a match with him, a Falls Count Anywhere match, and he beats the piss out of him. Knocks him off a fucking balcony. Has him bounce off his ass as he throws him off of a commentary table. Like he's just been he's just been absolutely the definition of a world champion. Just coming in, kicking ass, and going, I'm coming for you, Samoa Joe, right? And he did the same thing with Shibata last night, where he beat Shibata's ass, and even like kicked him in the balls for good measure after the match, where he was like, well, you kicked me in the balls, here we go. And then what does he do? He cuts a promo on Joe, tells Joe, you fucked up, brother. You wanted to fight me in a cage? The last time I was in a cage with a man, it did not go well. So you fucked up, brother, essentially. And I'm like, this is excellent. This is great. This is all this build needed. Just a convincing, strong champion. Like even in the aftermath, right? Because you could say, Warren, you're wrong. What do you mean I'm wrong? Why would you say that? You're wrong, Warren. Okay. Hurry up. Make your point, because I'm about to destroy it. You said he didn't show ass. He showed ass last week after the match. You know, Samoa Joe and Shibata kicked his ass, and they had the ring. They even ordered the cage to be lowered and whatnot. I'm like, he did not show ass there. Au contraire, sure he was helped out. Got some people to help him out to chase the ops away. But what did he do after? He got right up and said, "Oh, Joe, you want to fight me in a cage? All right, cage match." And Joe was not happy. See, the point is that Joe has not been able to really get one up on the champion, and even on the go-home show. On the go-home show, the babyface world champion is left standing, and the challenger is on commentary, going, because his plans got thwarted, because Hangman Page is sending Katsuyori Shibata to the dick surgeon, right? So I really liked that. I thought this was really, really good. I thought that, and I'm surprised at how good it was, because I wasn't expecting anything exciting out of this, out of the second leg of this feud. I wasn't super into it, guys, gals, non-binary pals. That's just as simple as that. But I'm looking forward to this. And look here, Hangman in a cage when it's time to get a little vile, when it's time to get a little nasty. I have complete faith in him. Utter and complete faith in him. He's tremendous. So, I think this is going to be a great main event. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think this match will be better than the match that they had at Wrestle Dream. I think this is going to be Wrestle Dream. Yes. Sorry, I had my brain sort of fritzed on Wrestle Dynasty because Tony Khan talked about it today, and I was like, wait, it's Dream. No, Dynasty. No, it's Dream. I mean, he's been great. It's been a great time. Hangman's has been terrific, and Joe is just Joe. But Hangman has been completely dominating this feud, kind of like what he did with Kyle Fletcher. I haven't seen many thought pieces on how dominant of a champion Hangman Adam Page has been booked as. Right? I've seen people complain, of course, today that Tony Khan dropped the ball on Hangman. Look at how good he is. He dropped the ball on Hangman at the first during his first defense a couple of years ago, his first title run, I should say, a couple of years ago. He wasn't as good as this, and Tony Khan should have just done the same and let him run with the ball. Now, I understand what this person is saying, but I also vehemently disagree, because I think that what Hangman is doing today and how convincing it is and how in character it is, right, for him to do, is because of everything that has happened since he lost his title. I think the Hangman we have today is entirely thanks to Swerve Strickland. And I don't think that if you go back to, what was it, 2022? Time is so wibbly wobbly for me. But when you go back to when he won the title the first time at Full Gear, and he had his little feud, he had his feud with Danielson and whatnot. If you go back to that era and you have Hangman do exactly what he's doing here today, I don't think it comes across as well. I don't think it's as interesting. I think it might even, it would have the potential to even come across as a little forced. To me, indubitably, today's Hangman Page, this whole run that he's having as champion right now, is good and dominant only because it has been ordained as such, because his character, his persona, whatever you want to call it, has evolved that way, I think. So, he retains. I don't think he's losing. I would look, I don't have any inside information. I tell you guys this all the time. I don't do the scoop stuff. I may chat to people, but I don't deliver information, right? But I have a little feeling and a complete gut feeling here that maybe after this match, we might have an MJF returning. Look, I'm just saying, don't go bet any money on it. Okay. Saying Warren Hayes said that MJF is going to come back, so I'm going to bet the farm. Please don't do that. Okay. Don't gamble. First of all, it's bad. Don't do that. And especially don't do that off of what I'm saying. This, I have no advice to give. This is just a gut feeling that maybe MJF might be on his way back, and we might be treated to the follow-up between these two dudes, which is very good. In fact, I expect a couple of returns. I think it's going to be an eventful show. I think it has the potential to be an eventful show. Because from what I understand, Swerve is ready to go. MJF, he just went off to shoot, some kind of movie again. They just might be showing up. Like they could show up anytime. And I'm still adamant about this. This show needs its top people right now. It really, really needs its top people. So I'm feeling that this will be an eventful show. I think Hangman versus Hobbs Falls Count Anywhere was good enough to be the Full Gear main event. Look, it's like what I said last week when it happened. If it wasn't for the blood and guts matches, this is the match we'd all be buzzing about. Everyone would be talking about Hangman versus Hobbs, but like the insanity from the women's and men's blood and guts matches just like overtook everything. And yet, nonetheless, it was an excellent match. It was all great stuff. Anyway, that's our main event. How about Chris Statlander defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Mercedes Moné? I got to pull up. This is why. Hang on a second. I didn't know who asked this question, but I was following Sean Ross Sapp taking notes on the Tony Khan media call that Tony Khan gave leading into Full Gear. And this is the Blue Sky post that Sean Ross Sapp posted with the following note. Tony is asked if Chris Statlander, the AEW world champion, women's world champion anyway, can be a top women's talent over the next few years if she beats Mercedes Moné. Tony responds, she already is the top woman in AEW. What a dopey ass question. What a fucking dopey, just dopey question. I don't know who asked it. Don't ask me who it was. I don't know.
How you doing, everybody?
Excuse me. I don't know who. I have no idea who asked that question. But that was a terrible question to ask. That was just really, really bad. So, because right now, Statlander is she's the top woman in the company, and they are working really, really hard to make her come across as a tippy top champion. They've changed a lot of stuff in her presentation and how she presents herself. They've been giving her more mic time, which I think is slowly working for her. I feel like there's a lot of RJ City behind her promos, and I think it suits her. I think it's been working. I think it's been good for her. But as it stands, going on a media call to ask the boss, do you think she can be a big star if she defeats Mercedes Moné? That's such a dopey question. And not only that, it's not like defeating Mercedes Moné is going to instantly make you into a superstar either. I don't know I have no idea what these people are talking about. And it's almost as if this person asking the question forgot that just earlier this year, earlier this year, Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné had a series of two excellent matches against one another. Now, if you don't think Chris Statlander is able to hang with the top women in the industry, I don't know what to tell you. Is she going to be the top woman in the business? I don't know. The competition is stiff for that spot, of course. But are we trying to say what was the undercurrent of the question? That she's not deserving to be in this spot? Chris Statlander is great. And the AEW fans love her. Why? Because she's a day oneer. And she's been there throughout everything. She's had her injuries and whatnot. I would say that Statlander has been even better since returning from those knee surgeries that she had, because she's abandoned doing flippy shit and she's just focusing on destroying people. And I think that suits her tremendously. It works wonders for her. And it's someone this was someone who, when she joined AEW, I think everyone recognized that she had a ton of talent, but she wasn't quite ready for national television exposure. I think everyone kind of recognized that. She learned with time, she grew into the role, and I think since she's become champion, she has worked particularly hard into projecting herself as a champion as well. I think that's the thing. And I think when you consider all the effort that they are putting into Statlander right now to create to really make her into a true to form top star, I don't think there's any way that she loses against Mercedes Moné this weekend. And Mercedes has 2 wins on top of that, right over her, if I'm not mistaken. There are two matches that they had against one another. I think Mercedes came out on top on both. So, we can reset on that front as well. Just, you give Statlander one win, and then we can sort of keep that little rivalry alive at the same time, where it's not as one-sided as maybe it once was. Now, there's no way Statlander's losing the title. That's something I'd bet the house on. But don't bet, don't do sports betting. Please don't. And the thing is that this is what we're guaranteed here. We're guaranteed a great match. That's the thing. These two women work really well with each other. We're guaranteed to have a great match. I am very excited for this one. I'm very, very excited. But I don't think Mercedes is adding her 14th belt here. I really don't. And look. Mercedes is great. I can't underscore that enough. Look at the great match she had with Red Velvet last night. Like I said on the review, a little rugged, a little rugged at times, but that one, it had snap, it had heat, it had there was some animosity that was present in everything that they were doing. I'm like, fuck yeah, this rules. This rules. Like, Red Velvet came to the ring and she's pissed off that she has to do this fucking interim bullshit, right? And I agree with her. Like, this is bullshit. Interim titles fucking suck. Why is she doing this? But she came in, she did it, and she was pissed off at it. And it just gave us a great match, a great little match. Red Velvet is, she's not the most consistent wrestler on the planet. Let's put it that way. And Mercedes was there to guide her into a great match. It was so good. It was so good. I think it's going to be different with Statlander. But this is going to be just a little loss for Mercedes. It's going to be a little loss. And it's going to be meaningful for Statlander because who's been able to pin or submit Mercedes Moné? Well, it's Toni Storm. It's Toni Storm. So he might get chinks in the armor or whatever. This might trigger the unraveling of Mercedes Moné, which many people are waiting for bated breath because for some reason, instead of just enjoying the ride. I still don't understand. Well, that's not true. I do understand why some people are upset at Mercedes Moné being so successful outside of WWE. I think I just gave you the reason right there. But I maintain this, and I know it's kind of a cheap argument to make, but I sincerely believe it. Okay, I truly believe what I'm about to say. If the belt collector was a dude, we would be celebrating this a lot more. There wouldn't be think pieces happening out there wondering how, is Mercedes Moné a detriment to women's wrestling or whatever the fuck. I believe that. And I know it's a bad argument to make. I know it's very it's very elementary level arguments, right? And it's not particularly engaging. But I do believe that. What I believe even more is that people can't recognize a push anymore. They think they know what a push is, and when a real push happens, then they get upset because 2 decades of Vince McMahon 50-50ing everyone has made an entire generation of fans unaware of what it means for a wrestler to have a push. Fans today transposed into 1982 or whatever would have been really, really upset at Ric Flair. God, they would have fucking hated that. They can't recognize a push anymore. They just can't see the benefit in a push. They don't understand what a push is. What Mercedes Moné is having is a legitimate push. Like there's no other way to frame it. And she's getting pushed no matter what territory she goes to. So, of course, people are upset because, like, this is a lost art. This is something that we're bringing back. You know, the only difference between, let's say, a Ric Flair push and what Mercedes is going through right now is that Mercedes' gimmick is belts, is collecting gold. Whereas Flair he just wanted his championship, but she's going around winning belts everywhere. People are upset about it. I really don't know. It's kind of like watching Will Ospreay wrestle while he's in his prime. It's like people will find reasons to complain and nitpick when, before your very eyes, one of the all-time great pro wrestlers is having some of the best matches in the world systematically, in history, systematically, regularly. And we're going to nitpick about bullshit like, he doesn't sell, whatever the fuck. Whereas in, 20 years, when people start rewatching his matches, they're going to be like, I wish I would have been there to see Will Ospreay in his prime live. And all we can, and what most people are able to do nowadays is bitch about it and not recognize the greatness that's happening before them. And it's kind of like with Mercedes. People can't seem to recognize that what's happening right now is unprecedented. It's unprecedented, particularly for a woman. Like, everyone who's been talking about, needing someone to break down barriers and be a trailblazer. This is exactly what she's doing. What else did you want? This is exactly what she's doing. And I see some of these people out there, who purport to be like the same people will complain. They'll tweet about Tony Khan only putting one women's match on Dynamite and whatnot, right? You know what I'm talking? Which I agree, he could do better, right? Just to be clear. But these particular people, that are doing that, just one match on Dynamite again this week, and then we'll turn around and we'll be annoyed with the gimmick that Mercedes is doing when all the elements are there of everything that they always complain about, that the women don't get enough spots. They don't get these big opportunities that the men do. Mercedes Moné is getting them. She's establishing them. She's setting a bar, for fuck's sake. Again, by the way. And they're upset. I don't, and I'm not talking necessarily about the butthurt WWE fans. I'm not talking about the misogynists, and I'm not talking about the racists, because those are people you just can't. They're dumb as posts. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm talking about the people who purportedly support women's wrestling, but will somehow find ways to find what Mercedes Moné is doing right now to be a bad thing. I don't understand it. And if I'm Tony Khan, I'm sitting at my desk or on my phone, because I'm Tony Khan. I'm always on my fucking phone on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't understand you people. I don't understand you people. You keep screaming about how I don't give enough opportunities to women, that we don't do that we don't put as much care into the women's division, that I'm doing this, and you're still bitching. I don't understand you people. That's would be me as Tony Khan. Anyway, Statlander retains. It's going to be a great match. It's going to be great. That's all there is to it. It's going to be a good one. And Mercedes is going to gladly do the job, and they're going to look fantastic. And I'm very excited for this match. They have the history to back it up, so I'm excited for it. Hey, Kristen, Ashley, nice to see you, darling. Welcome to the chat, darling. Statlander will certainly be one of the top women in wrestling, whether she beats Mercedes or not, but I think Stat wins. I agree. Stat Daddy better win. She will. Chris Statlander is a one-trick pony, but that trick is giving every woman the best match of their career. I don't know how. Look, she's very good. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a tremendous pro wrestler. I don't know if she's one of those, right? I don't think this will be a good way to find out. With her being on top of the world like this, if being at the top of the card, if she is able to drag great matches out of everyone that she's in with, I mean, that'll be to her credit. Look, being in a match with Mercedes Moné, if you don't have a good match with her, then you're the problem, essentially. So that'll be hard to judge. But as we move along and she gets more championship defenses under her belt, and we'll see how it goes. But I was talking earlier today. Look, Mercedes Moné is absolutely one of those. I think Toni Storm. I feel like it's not something we discuss enough in regards to Toni Storm. How much she elevates her partners, whoever she's working with, how much she's able to raise these people, and that's just in her nature. It's a talent, it's a skill she has. I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but I mean, look at Mina Shirakawa. Mina never looks as relevant in AEW as she does than when she's with Toni Storm. Look at Mariah May, right? That's another fantastic example. Toni's amazing. And we talk about a lot of great qualities that she has, but this capacity of her to be a rising tide, which raises all boats, right? Her capacity to do that is phenomenal, and I don't think that's something we talk enough about. But I will say a non-super version of that move would be her finisher. I call it the market crash. Oh yeah, sure, yes. They wanted the Trailblazer to be someone from WWE. Oh, well, They need Paul Levesque to use the word Trailblazer about someone to convince them about it. To them, it's always been less. He's not giving. To them, it's always been less. He's not giving the women's division a spot. Is that he's not giving my favorite a chance in the division? Look, I am 100% with you, Antox, because the underlying thing in all of these discussions about, not doing enough for, it's always about one wrestler that someone likes, that your own faves. So it's like, yes, he's okay. He's pushing a wrestler, but not the wrestler I like. And I can't even endorse because there was for a while a train of thought where it's like, well, Mercedes Moné is, she's a former WWE person and whatnot. She is, when she came in with all her WWE reflexes, right? And all of the promos that she do in WWE. She tried to emulate that in AEW, and it blew up in her face. And she finally understood it, and she pivoted and she changed. And now she's just she. When's the last time she did one of these goofy backstage segments? Right? It's been a real while. It's been a serious while at this point. I think we have to go back to the Camille shit, right? Now, what does she do? She just focuses on wrestling. She cuts her little promos. She does her things. But it's not, it's really not as WWE coded as it once was. She's figured it out. She feels more like a part of AEW than she ever has at this point. And I think she's transitioned pretty well. DGMC, nice to see you and welcome. Also a member of the channel on top of that. Any hand waving towards Stat right now while will be a distant memory once Tekla or Marina take the title off of her? Not Marina. Not Marina. Tekla, sure. So there we go. So that's the for that match. What else have we got? What else have we got? What else have we got lined up here? Let's talk about Brodito versus FTR for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Yeah, I think this is the perfect opportunity to put the title on it, to put the titles on FTR. I love FTR. I think this heel turn has completely reinvigorated their entire setup, their entire bit, wherever they're at right now in their career in AEW. I think this has been phenomenal stuff. It's been so good. They're one of the best acts in AEW right now. And if you don't watch Collision, then you're not even seeing it. You're missing it. And that's a complete and utter shame, because everyone should be enjoying the great work that they do. This heel turn has been awesome. Everything has felt good and it makes sense. And now they have Stokely Hathaway playing Jim Cornette. And when I mean Jim Cornette, I mean manager Jim Cornette, tennis racket Jim Cornette, running around just doing old school manager bullshit to help them get wins and stuff like. It's fantastic. I have no issues with what's been going on. And Brodito, I love Brodito. I think it's a great combination. I think both guys have benefited from this. I don't think anyone was expecting Brodito to get so organically over on top of it all. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting this to go the way it did. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose and they sort of break up the band after. I know people are like, I know there's a segment of people who want Brody to turn on Bandito. I'm like, I don't know. Does anyone really want to boo? Does anyone really want to boo a guy who comes to the ring wearing fuck ice shirts? Does Brody King, can we boo Brody King? I don't know. I don't want to. I kind of want him to come in and do cool shit. I want to pop for the cool shit he does. If that makes sense, I kind of want that. I'm not sure I want Brody King to be a bastard. I don't know. I'm not into it. Boo, no. I don't want it. So, I mean, look, I'm looking forward to this match. I'm sure it'll be very, very good. Just whatever happens, I think FTR are going to squeeze a win out, and they might even have Stokely interfere, and it might be a really cheap win. And I hope it is a cheap win to a degree. If Brodito were to split up now, because look, I think Tony Khan wants to push Bandito as a singles. I think that's what he wants to do. You break up the team, they can still be affiliated or whatnot, but then they go off and they do their own thing, but they can still be pals. It's not like WWE where, if a team splits up, it's either because they're angry at each other, or if they just split up like that, well, they never speak to each other again and they never address what happened in the past because The man in charge doesn't remember what happens week to week on his own show. Yeah, but ultimately that's the thing here that I'm kind of hoping happens. Split up Brodito at this point here when they're, no one's sick of them. They haven't overstayed their welcome. Leave when the going's good. And then if you do bring them back around, then it's special. Then it's like, oh yeah, Brodito rules. Then it becomes like little events, little attractions. Or maybe they're selling tons of merch and you have to keep pushing this stuff. I don't know. I think that'd be, that's what I do. FTR wins, hopefully by deceptive measures, and then the Continental Classic rolls around, and we've got Brody and or Bandito doing their own thing in the tournament. Put both of them in the same league, and not necessarily have a match where they're mad at each other. Just, they can be two baby faces, two brothers fighting each other. Just it's fine. It's fine. I think it's fine if Brodito moves on at this point. I think it's absolutely fine. Chris Jacobs, nice to see you and welcome to the chat. He can have a bedazzled pickleball racket. There you go. We're optimizing the gimmick for the times. Good thinking. Good creative. There's something to say for taking the titles off Brodito now while they're still pretty hot rather than when everyone's calling for new champs. There you go. I agree. I agree with you. 100%. Did I say Brody Lee? Did I say Brody Lee? Turn on. Because I meant Brody King. That's a hell of a woof. That's one thing that's one thing I won't be able to. That's one thing that we know won't be able to happen. We already have a split tag team, and look how that's going. The Acclaimed. The problem with the Acclaimed splitting up is that I think the problem was that they were really banking that Anthony Bowen's singles run was going to take off, but it was just awkward because I think the presentation was awkward. And I think if they had tweaked the presentation, I think if they had gotten rid of Billy Gunn and, they still go with the 5-tool player, the pride of pro wrestling, all of that. But I think his entrance gear was a little weird. I think the music, the whole presentation wasn't really great. They should have stuck with my idea and have Anthony Bowens join the Hurt Syndicate. That was my idea, and that would have got the man over. But will they listen to me? No. No. I would say Brody King should only turn on Bandito if Buddy Matthews is ready to come back. Even so, do you want Brody King to go back with Buddy Matthews? No disrespect to Buddy Matthews, but that feels like ages ago. Like we've washed off the stank of Mal Black now in this company. Do we want, like, the Hounds of Hell was a great idea with the the 3 remaining members of the House of Black. I think it was a tremendous idea, but Julia's off doing her thing again with Sky Blue and Tekla, and if Buddy Matthews comes back, do we really go back to that? Do we really go back to that for him and Brody? Even I feel Brody's above that now. I feel it'd be a step back. Bowens has a sick theme. Oh, well, I respect your opinion. I respectfully respect your opinion. Unless Brody is going for the national title, what else is he going to do post Bandito feud? Well, I think a singles run would be, I think we could get that in him. I think we could get that going, a singles run. I'd be for that. I'd be 100% in for that. National TNT, who cares? There's some good stuff to come out of this. You know, that's the thing, is that people really like Brody King. So I think it wouldn't take much of a push to get people excited about a singles run for him. Because people like Brody King. Excuse me. All right, what else we got? What else have we got to talk about? How about the $1 Million Trios match where Kenny Omega and Dino 2.0 will be taking on the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander? My thoughts on this are fairly simple. This was, I think this was kind of thrown together a little weird. You know, I didn't really realize that, you know, Luchasaurus and Jack Perry were still feuding with the Jacksons after their great match at Wrestle Dream, but apparently they were, and it really didn't feel like the Jacksons were all that involved about it. It mostly felt like the Jacksons were being courted by the Don Callis family, and that's what they were focused on. And you know, and Dino 2.0 were trying to get his attention, going, "Hey, look!" Their attention, the Bucks, trying to get their attention. You know. So I don't know. I don't know. This is another one that doesn't feel really well booked. And listen, I understand that Kenny Omega is in a very precarious situation when it comes to his health. I understand that he can't do as much as he used to. I understand all of this. I'm not a dummy, despite what you may have heard out there. I understand all of this. And I understand that, you know, we might be, you know, every precious moment that we have left of Kenny Omega wrestling should be cherished, right? Because he's closer to the end than he ever has been before this, right? So I understand that, you know, you try stuff out, you put him in tag team matches, you know, you have things, you have him participate in things, but he's not doing the big time singles matches, but he's still on the cards, right? But it's just like Kenny Omega is in a bona fide star in this company, and it boggles my mind that he's not on TV for weeks at a time, like nothing, not a peep from Kenny Omega for weeks at a time. And then he shows up. And when he shows up, he does like a quick run in and, all right, we're going to do a match this weekend at the pay-per-view. And it's like, and you know, they know that Kenny Omega is a big deal for this company, because they will do Kenny Omega will appear live on Dynamite next week. They do these things for him. They do it like for MJF. They do it for the big guys. They used to do it with Cody. And they do it still with Kenny, because they understand how important he is to the fans and to the brand, the promotion, essentially. But throwing him in, you know, as a third wheel again in this type of situation, you know, where it's like, okay, like he feels shoehorned onto these cards. And that's what I find deplorable, because it's Kenny Omega. He should have prime roles. He should be the focus of attention of things happening in this company, and not being someone that, okay, well, We got to organize a meeting. We got to get everyone in creative together because we got to find something for Kenny Omega to do. That's nonsense. That should be on your top list of priorities. You know, having something constantly for Kenny to do. Again, I'm talking about this without having any full understanding of the complete state of his health right now. So I understand that there are probably details that are missing that may be explaining why he's not around as much. But, you know, like they threw him into that match with, Ospreay and Fletcher and the cage match, right? With the Don Callis family, with Kota Ibushi and all of that. He was just like thrown in there. It's like, it's Kenny Omega. You don't throw Kenny Omega into a match like that. You plan things for him. And in an environment right now where you do not have some of your big top stars available, like Will Ospreay, like MJF, like Swerve Strickland, you have to figure out what to do with the big stars you have. And Kenny Omega is still a big star for this company. Tremendous reactions. People love Kenny. They want to see more Kenny. It's so weird. This match is so weird in that respect. But I understand, like, there's been a story here as well with Josh Alexander injuring Kota Ibushi, and I understand. And I understand the story that they're telling, and we're probably going to get a reunion of the Elite, which, as I mentioned, I am not a super fan of, because if that means that the Elite are going babyface again, or not the Elite, but the Bucks are going babyface again, I think that's a bad thing. I think the Bucks are better when they're smarmy assholes. That's really when they're at their best. That's what I believe. And again, like this stuff with Dino 210, it's been so, the feud overall has been kind of weird. It hasn't really even been the focus of everything. The focus has been, will the Young Bucks join the Don Callis family? And now, are we that far off track than to have Dino 210 turn heel at the end of the match and join the Don Callis family? I wouldn't say so. I think it would actually make a lot of sense, because Josh Alexander's not excited about working with the Jacksons, right? So maybe ultimately, it's like it can be the classic thing where Don Callis rolled out the red carpet for the Bucks. The Bucks turned it down, so or the Bucks were not excited to join as much as he thought they would. So he extended the offer to Dino 210, who said yes immediately, and they decided to fuck over the Bucks. Like, Don Callis essentially threatened the Jacksons this week on Dynamite, right? Saying, it's dangerous to walk alone in AEW without the protection of a family. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Perry and Luchasaurus turn heel again, that this was all just like a smokescreen. But look, anyway, Kenny Omega needs better things to do. Like, he can't be like an afterthought in these types of situations. He needs to be at the center of these things. You've got to figure out stuff to do with Kenny Omega. This makes no sense. It makes no sense. But back to the match, this is going to rule. Like that, the Jacksons and Dino 210, we already know that they're always on the same page. Kenny Omega is still one of the greatest wrestlers on earth, and Josh Alexander's great too. So we've got all the elements for a tremendous match. I'm looking forward to it. And there'll probably be some story coming out of this with the Don Callis family. I wouldn't be surprised if Dino 210 turn. There you go. There's another match Now, who do I think is winning? Thank you for asking. I think Dino 210 and Kenny Omega win because the Jacksons are going to kind of abandon Josh Alexander, and they're going to make it clear that they're not joining the Don Callis family type of thing. That's likely going to be the situation. I would say. Next, we are going to have the Casino Gauntlet match for the inaugural AEW National Championship. As far as we know, the only participants that have been announced are Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley, who will be positions 1 and 2 in the Battle Royal in the match. So they'll be starting off fighting each other, which is that's fun. I think that's interesting. I think it's safe to say that that Ricochet is going to be in this. I think it's safe to say that Speedball Mike Bailey is going to be in this as well, because they don't have because they're not booked. Are there going to be any surprises? There better be good surprises. See, this is where you can bring people back too, right? But it depends who you bring back. Like you don't bring, let's say you don't bring MJF back in this match and have MJF lose. You know what I mean? And do you want MJF to be the first national champion? I really want it to be Ricochet. I think it'd be perfect for Ricochet. I think it'd be good. He's been tremendous. This is another guy who just completely abandoned whatever WWE isms he had. He just went straight, dove right in and adapted and whatnot. But again, this is a guy who worked the indies for years and worked everywhere for years before joining WWE. So he understood the game coming out, as opposed to a guy like Edge, who only worked in WWE all his career. So he doesn't quite understand what it means to need to adapt, right? Yeah, it'll probably be full of the AEW mid card, and I still maintain that the gauntlet matches need to, after All In, I think I sort of asked for a moratorium for a long time to make us miss these matches, and then when you bring them back again, it's for really big stakes, and then you're able to also supply some big surprises in the match as well, because I think that's what made the first few gauntlet matches really successful. Casino Gauntlet matches successful for AEW is that they had people showing up, they had people returning. I think that was I think that was a big deal, right? So I was kind of hoping that it'd go away for a while. Yes, it went away for a while, 3-4 months, but I was kind of hoping maybe a year. Anyway, so we'll have a new champion coming out of this. So we've got that happening. So we've got that happening. I'm putting my money on Ricochet. Again, don't bet. but it's an expression. Yeah, I'm favoring Ricochet for this one. I think it would be very good. I think that I think that, and you could make it happen. I'm into it. I'd try that. I just hope the Casino Gauntlet match is good. That's all. The one at All In sort of got a little sleepy after a while. I thought it went a little long in the tooth. It was good, but went a little long, I thought. And especially it had a very predictable finish at the same time. So, there were a couple of things running against it. Here it's a little more unexpected. We'll see how it goes. I want Orange Cassidy to win, so he begrudgingly has to travel and defend the belt. Push the gimmick. That's right. This national title business still feels so weird. I mean, at least everything has been clarified at this point where it's like Tony Khan said, he called Billy Corgan and said, hey, man, I don't want to horn in on your racket. I apologize. You know, like it's all smoothed over, but it's still very weird. It's still very weird. So, yeah, my pick is Ricochet. Let's talk about Kyle Fletcher defending the AEW TNT title in a no disqualification match against Mark Briscoe. And if Mark Briscoe loses the match, he must join the Don Callis family. If Kyle Fletcher wins this match, he will be the TNT champion with the most defenses, beating, I believe it is, Cody Rhodes, who has the most defenses of the title. So is AEW petty enough to want to do that? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough if they're petty enough to want to erase Cody's record like that. I mean, they might. They did it with Jade now, so that's fine. But man, I don't know how you have this match and have Mark Briscoe lose again. I don't know how you do that. I think that the result that should have happened at WrestleDream, which should have been Mark Briscoe defeating Kyle Fletcher, is going to happen here. Because I really think that Tony Khan is looking at the lay of the land. I think this idea here where everyone, I think that the situation where Tony Khan has been confronted having all of his top guys all be out at once, I think has probably scared him shitless. And he's like, look, I have guys who are on the cusp of being top guys. I got to stop dicking around and pull the trigger on them. And Kyle Fletcher is one of these guys. He's ready for the next level. If Kyle Fletcher loses, he's losing up. That's what I said at WrestleDream. And I'm going to say it again here. If he loses, he's losing upwards. Because if he loses here, that means he's ready to break through the ceiling and work with the real top guys of the company. Whereas Mark Briscoe is a guy who this year is one of AEW's MVPs. He has worked his ass off for this company all year, doing everything he's been asked, creating an incredible crowd connection in the meantime. People love Mark Briscoe. I think that a belted singles run for him is due. Sure, he had the Ring of Honor World Championship, but again, no one fucking watches Ring of Honor. So who cares? Now you give him a title here. You give him the TNT title, and I think he's perfect for the role. And people love him. Like I said, they love Mark Briscoe, and I'll be damned if you can find someone who works as hard as him consistently in every match. Like, it'll never be a dud. It'll never be a stinker poo of a match with Mark Briscoe around. So just go ahead and do it. Give Briscoe the feel-good win. I really hope they don't do... I'll tell you what, the opposite is something that really makes me upset to think about. Because if Mark Briscoe ends up going to the Don Callis family, then we're going to get antics. Then we're going to get, the conglomeration. You're going to come up to him and try to be goofy, and he's going to be, I can't, man, because Hechicero was breathing down my neck, and and all that stuff. Like, It'd just be awful, awful, awful. I am not into that in the least. All right. Not into it in the least. So I hope he wins. I hope Mark Briscoe wins. Not only do I think, but I hope. And Kyle Fletcher is going to be fine, and he's going to be elevated in this loss. I'm not worried about him in the slightest. Right on. Yeah, let's go Chicken Man. Mark Briscoe ain't leaving his 90s sitcom family, and I don't think so either. But I never thought about beating Cody's record so Kyle might win. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping me from sitting here and saying, guys, it's a sure thing. Like I'm doing with, with Statlander, for instance. It's a sure thing she's winning, Hangman, it's a sure thing he's winning. I even go as far as to say FTR, it's a sure thing they're winning. But this one here, it's hard to say. And the reason that they'd want to erase Cody's record is, could be motivation enough for them to leave it on Kyle. Mark Briscoe has to win Mick Foley style. Yeah, he probably will. Look, this match is going to be a blast regardless, right? It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. Mark Briscoe is going to work so fucking hard in this. Not that Kyle isn't, but you know exactly what I mean. Like when I say Mark Briscoe is going to work hard, you immediately have a picture in your head right now of Mark Briscoe and how he wrestles. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be awesome. Darby Allin versus Pac in a straight up, no bullshit, no gimmicks, no weapons wrestling match. All right, I'm into it. That's all there is to it. I'm into it. And I would argue Pac needs to win. I think Pac should win. I don't have many thoughts here. Other than Pac should win, Darby should come in like all wrapped up, burned to a crisp and, whatever the fuck. And he does, he gives it the old college try, but, he's demolished. Like, for once in his life, Darby Allin cannot do it. He's just complete, he's human after all type of thing. And he just can't pull it off. And Pac just completely out wrestles him. I mean, that's what the setup here is. That was the essence of the promo that Pac gave, is that, Darby, you're the boy who cannot quit, but I cannot wrestle you. I can beat you. I'm kind of excited of this being a straight up match with no gimmicks. I'm excited for it. Like it feels actually refreshing on this card. Everything, outside of the title matches, everything has a gimmick. So, I'm okay with this. Then we have the 4-way tag team match in the women's division. The Babes of Wrath versus the Sisters of Sin versus Timeless Love Bombs versus Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. With the winning team having the opportunity to choose their stipulation for their semifinal match in the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Yeah, this is a collision-ass match, folks. I don't know what to do. I'm not into this. I don't know. It's probably going to be a mess. I'm not super into it. Who cares, really? What a goofy match. I don't know why the tournament... I thought we were going to get the finals of the tournament at Full Gear. I don't know why this is being drawn out so much. I don't know why this is being drawn out so much here. And now this tournament, the semifinals and the finals are going to be clashing with the Continental Classic now. So I was like, I don't know. AEW is so weird sometimes. I really thought that this was all going to come to a head at Full Gear and we were going to crown the tag team champions and it'd be awesome. Finale at World's End. World's End is on December 31st. There's literally 2 matches left outside of the finals for the tournament. Are they going to drag this out 5 weeks for 2 matches? And then the final being at World's End? They can't do that. 27th. You know what I meant. It's at the fucking end of December. I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird. I don't know what happened here. It's almost as if plans changed. But look, this is what we're getting here. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. This is a match where it's too dopey and it's going to be a mess and I'm not super into it. I'm really not super into it. Sorry to say. And then we have John Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly in a no holds barred match. You know, because if you're going to have a match that is going to be all about submission holds, right? Well, you cannot start barring holds. You got to have all the holds. You can't bar holds when it's all going to be about submissions and tapping out, right? Look, I put this over big time on the Dynamite review, all right? And I'm going to do it again here. This rivalry between these two guys. How sneaky good this was. That just came out of nowhere, right? With all starting with the with Kyle with Mox, you know, punching the ref because he was about to tap, and then the double count out, and then what happened at Blood and Guts, and it all led to when they were both in the ring again last night when Kyle did his run-in, and he had Mox. Even before that, come to think of it, even before that, when Roderick Strong had Mox in a hold, I think it was a Boston Crab. He was trying to put him into a Boston Crab, right? And Mox was fighting because he was panicking because he was like, you know, if I'm in a submission move again, I'm going to tap kind of thing. Crowd goes nuts. They're up on their feet. They'd been chanting "You tapped out" to Moxley the entire evening. Like the crowd understands what this feud is all about and how all of this has been built. It's not a feud that was, you know, stuffed down our throats where we were told, you know, it's like, well, John Moxley, will he be able to resist? You know, it was done with a lot of finesse, a tremendous amount of care, turning Kyle O'Reilly into a threat for John Moxley, who is a top guy in this company. Like, this was expertly well done. This was really, really fucking well done. And I swear to God, if Kyle O'Reilly was more like this guy and less, you know, the guy backstage doing faces during promos and cutting dad jokes and stuff, if he was this Kyle O'Reilly all the time, I'd be like, okay, line this man up for a push, like a real one. Good mid-card push. Go. And look, for all intents and purposes, this match is going to rock. You know, like this is going to be a tremendous match, which I fully expect John Moxley to win because Mox needs a big win. Mox has not been getting the big wins all that much. He did beat Darby in their first match, but you know, he's in a bit of a slump right now. And you don't want to diminish his aura by him, losing matches over and over and over, kind of like what they did with Chris Jericho, right? Where there, at first it was significant to have a match where you would beat Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho, all he did after that was just, he never win any big matches, losing records. So the aura disappears. The aura just, it's Chris, he's going to beat Chris Jericho, and it doesn't really matter because Chris Jericho is no longer protected. So, it's like Mox is in a slump right now. Do we go all the way in the slump? Or does he fight back and he gets the win? And honestly, he should get the win over mid-card Kyle. You know what I mean? He should get the win over mid-card Kyle. And all this talk about the Death Riders turning on him, I right now, I'm having trouble buying it. I'm having trouble buying it. I think Mox is going to win his match, and everything is going to be A-okay with the Death Riders. Because I've seen it in the chat. I've seen that talk here and elsewhere in the Discord, the MrWarrenHayes Show Discord. You should join, by the way. Link is in the description. I've seen all the on Blue Sky, the talk about Jon Moxley being kicked out of the Death Riders. And I think that if it was supposed to happen, it should have happened at Full Gear. At Blood and Guts. That's where it should have happened, because it was a humiliating loss. But I can't wrap my head around Jon Moxley losing to Kyle O'Reilly. That's the thing. In a one-on-one, in a no-holds-barred match and whatnot, I don't buy it. And I especially don't buy Pac being the leader of the Death Riders. No disrespect to Pac, but the Death Riders worked because Jon Moxley's a top guy, and it felt like a top stable because of that. Pac has never felt like a top guy in this company, and he doesn't have that aura about him. He's not a top guy, so he's not going to run in and suddenly feel like a big-time leader. Honestly, it's kind of going to feel like Solo Sikoa to a degree, taking over the Bloodline. It's going to be like, this is kind of weird. This is kind of strange. It doesn't quite work because Pac is not a top guy. Now, in my opinion, if you were to still go with the angle and kick Jon Moxley out, you know who comes in and replaces Jon Moxley in the Death Riders? Swerve Strickland. That would be my dark horse right there. Because I do remember Swerve Strickland saying, as he was leaving, I think he said this in a tweet. He said something to the effect that he was going to take some time and reflect on who he was, and when he'd come back, he would try to come back to be the man he used to be. Now, who did he used to be? He used to be, as he quotes himself, the most dangerous man in AEW. Well, I think that you can have a proper argument to prove that Swerve Strickland, at least in this last run, is not the most dangerous man in AEW. There are a couple of others in this that could take that mantle, and I think Jon Moxley is one of them. Now, so if the Death Riders do kick out Mox, they need a top guy replacement. Otherwise, if it's Pac, you're undercutting the Death Riders. It's a pick that is below Mox, and the Death Riders ultimately become just a mid-card act. Maybe that's what you want too. I don't know. But if you want the Death Riders to stay like on top of things, be the top heel faction, you need a top guy to lead them. And you bring back Swerve, and you bring him back as a heel. because you do have a problem at the top where you've got a lot of baby faces and not a lot of heels. For top guys. People have told me people don't want to boo Swerve. I don't think so. I don't think they don't not want to boo Swerve. I think they want Swerve to be doing top guy shit. That's what they want him to do. That's what people want. They want Swerve to do top guy shit, whether he's a babyface or a heel. And frankly, I hope he comes back and he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's pissed off and he starts, stabbing people again and kidnapping babies and so on and so forth. That's what I'm hoping for. So, look, that's my long shot dark horse prediction. Swerve comes back, takes over the Death Riders, and then he can feud with Mox. And then maybe Mox and Danielson reconcile. I don't know. You know what? There's a couple of ways you can go. Anyway. Yeah, I think Mox wins here. Regardless. I'm not as sold on the Death Riders kicking Mox out as much as a lot of you are. I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm definitely not saying that because I have a scenario in which it does happen, right? I don't think it happens here. I think Mox gets his win back and, the Death Riders are fine. They overcame the slump. I miss Swerve too, honestly. I miss Swerve too. Mox should lose. Mox gets kicked out at World's End. People really want Mox out of the Death Riders. It's funny. It's hilarious to me. It's really funny. Make Marina the leader of Death Riders. There you go. If Swerve comes back as a top heel in your mind, where does that leave someone like MJF, who said when he comes back he'll be as vicious as ever? Man, bring back make all your heels like vicious, angry bastards with a chip on their shoulder. Let's go. Don't have to be cutesy, funny. Make them all angry and mean. I'm okay with all of that. And MJF, he can come back and he can, he'll go after the title. Then Swerve comes back and he's got Mox in his sights. Can two pit bulls exist in the same pit? Right up until they have to tear at each other. See, isn't this great? Doesn't that make you excited? Isn't this like good news then? I prefer them having too many of these choices than right now where it's like it's slim pickings. Meggie O'Kenna, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also, Meggie happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Of course, Swerve would be a good heel. We've seen him as a heel before. I love heel Swerve Strickland. Let's go. Let's go. And I think that's the main card, right? I don't think I forgot anything. No, we just have the pre-show then. We've got 4 pre-show matches. Big Boom AJ, the Costco guy, and QT Marshall will be taking on our RPG Vice. All right. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens versus the Bang Bang Gang versus Big Bill and Brian Keith versus the Outrunners in a $200,000 4-way tag team match. All right. Got nothing for you. I don't know. Should I be giving you proper? And I don't like, these are the most throwaway, pre-show matches that you could throw away, right? Hook and Andy Kingston will be taking on the Work Horsemen. Anthony Henry, JD Drake. Which hopefully could be good. And then the Don Callis family trio of Kazuchika Okada, Konosuke Takeshita, and Hechicero will be taking on Sky Team, CMLL Sky Team, which is made up of Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Neon, for the CMLL World Trios Championship. It was all settled on Dynamite last night when Kazuchika Okada beat Mascara Dorada. And listen, okay, so I was annoyed at this, and I want to make this clear. I was annoyed at this match being on the pre-show, if only because, and I still am kind of annoyed, if only because, you know, Mystico, who is the top star in pro wrestling in all of Mexico, right? The guy who draws 16,000 people on a weekly basis when in shows in Arena Mexico, okay? He's invited to the partner promotion to be in a match, and he's not even on the main card. We're going to throw him into the pre-show, which is preposterous, in my opinion. Meanwhile, and this is what makes it preposterous, is that meanwhile, fucking Commander, you know, Ring of Honor regular Commander goes to Arena Mexico and fucking main events. Yeah, like there's a bit of an inadequate balance of power here that I'm not super into. But 4 matches on the pre-show, and I'm like, oh, they are going to have one of these matches overrun from the pre-show and into the main show like they did at Wrestle Dream, aren't they? They're probably going to do that. And if they do it with one, if there's one match they should do it with, it's this one here. So now I'm like, you know what? That's not so bad. Turns out I'm not that angry, because then it makes sense, because Okada and Takeshita are in one of the best feuds in AEW as well right now, one of the best rivalries in AEW right now. So it makes a lot of sense that this boils over onto the main card, so that whatever happens between Okada and Takeshita is on the pay-per-view and is meaningful on that front, right? And then you have Sky Team on fucking pay-per-view doing pay-per-view things. Doing Skyview things on pay-per-view. Skyview, Sky Team. Right? Doesn't that all connect? Doesn't that make sense? I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to, this is going to spill over. And it's going to make all the right people on the internet mad again. And that's fine. That makes me happy. Now, here's the thing. You know, I think this is a good match to do it. Don't get me wrong. Is this going to be a regular thing now? That at every pay-per-view, there's going to be one match that is going to spill over onto the main card? It'd be nice if it was used sparingly, right? If it was on occasion. But again, this is professional wrestling. Professional wrestling, you know, historically, there's something that works. We're going to hammer that thing. We are going to hammer that thing home over and over and over again. It's not usually, oh, we'll just try it this one time and never do it again. No, we're gonna keep doing it. They liked it last time, let's do it again. They liked it last time, let's do it again. Until it becomes, it's not that great anymore. So anyway, that was the so that should be fun. Look, it's a nice little pre-show, right? It's a nice little pre-show. When does the pre-show start? It starts at well, because they have the pre-show, they have the part that they all talk, right? And then they have the tailgate thing which airs on TNT, and that happens. I don't know when this all starts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Well, I'll figure it out. Later. But yeah, that's my preview of the show. And like I said, despite all my apprehensions about build and whatnot, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Mr. Antox. Despite all of my apprehensions in regards to build and whatnot, and this has the, I think on paper, this is a good card. This is a very good card, and it has the potential to have some great fucking matches. I think the Paige Samoa Joe match has the potential to be extremely good. I think Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné has a lot of potential as well. That can be tremendous. I think the trios match with Dino 210 and Omega versus the Young Bucks and Josh Alexander has all the stars associated with it. Fletcher and Mark Briscoe should be great. Those are the ones I have circled. Darby Allin versus Pac, that won't be bad. John Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly, that won't be bad. Brodito and FTR, that won't be bad. The only one that I'm really not looking forward to, that I'm like, whatever, it's the women's 4-way tag team match. It's dopey and goofy. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. And then next thing you know, they're gonna tear the house down, and I'm gonna eat crow on the review, and that's fine. And I do hope I eat all sorts of crow. If I think something is not going to live up to expectations, it's not going to be good, and then it turns around that it's great, I'm like, fantastic. I will gladly say, hey, you know what? They proved me wrong. No issues with that. So there you go. Happening this weekend. The review, my review, the only review that really matters, quite frankly. My review of AEW Full Gear presented by DC will be happening this weekend as well. Early access for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, and available for everyone sometime next week. Voila. Yeah, it's 0 Hour. I couldn't remember which one it was. It was 0 Hour. That's the Talking Heads one, right? Yeah, I think we're gonna. There's a couple of more things, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do some. I'll record some extra content, because I really did want to talk about the Hall of Fame. Maybe I'll record some extra content. I'll see and make it available to members and whatnot. But I can't. I think we're gonna wrap it up for tonight. This is what I'm trying to say. My voice is I can feel my throat starting to clasp onto each other. I've been talking about Full Gear presented by DC for the past hour and a half now. Yeah, you know what? Crow I think can be delicious sometimes. Eating crow with a side of humble pie. That's a great meal. That's a meal I'm into. Yeah. Presented by DC, brought to you by Johnson Financial Advisors. What a great promo by Juice. That was so good. So there we go, folks. Thank you so much for popping in on this lovely Thursday evening. Hope you enjoyed the proceedings. I know I did. It's always a charm to hang out with you people. You people. I'll be back Monday for a stream. Can't underscore that the members get early content. I can't underscore that enough. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining me and for having a good time. And I hope to see you all back on Monday. Enjoy Full Gear presented by DC this weekend. Go watch some Randy Orton and get back to me. And I'll see you next time.